Hi guys! Today's review will be slightly different because I'll focus more on the performances and the ranking, and I'll say all the good and bad details I notice. Of course, some complicated things also happened in this episode, like the one involving Sejong, and I'll talk about it too, and I'll be ranking the performances myself because this episode was a mess. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe and don't forget to like. Thanks! Let's start. This episode is the beginning of part 2 from Island. Only 12 girls made it and they will be ranked at the end of each episode. There will also be live voting and an audience for the performances. Now the beds are also numbered according to their ranking. The higher you get, the better the benefits, and it's going to be an individual match from now on. They also reveal the final number of debut members. They say it's 6, which is such a low number for a survival show. I personally prefer groups of 7, odd numbers look better during choreographies. They reveal their current rankings, and they say it's based on the full part 1 of the show, including the last mission with Iwali, but some things don't make sense already. Why is Jong-un at 4th place if during part 1 she was mostly ranking 1? Jimin is at 7th place. This seems more like an Iwali ranking than the full part 1, they could have just said it. After the tests, they will combine the ranking of votes with the producer's ranking, based on points per votes, and define the official ranking. The first test is called Black Maid Test, and they will perform 3 songs from the Black label, aka YG, and producer Teddy. The songs are Lovesick Girls by Blackpink, La Vie en Rose by IZ*ONE, and I Am the Best by 2NE1. I'm super anxious for the last one. The producers remixed the songs for this test, so the instrumentals will be a little different. The songs and the leader for the groups are already decided by the producers. For I Am the Best the members are Mai, Jiun, Sujung and Juwon. For La Vie en Rose the members are Sarung, Fuko, Juri and Jimin. For Lovesick Girls the members are Sabi, Jong-un, Coco and Yuju. The leader were Jiun, Jimin and Sabi. There's a countdown on the clock for 12 hours from there. They think it's an interim check, so they hurry. For this test they were trying to challenge some people. They start practicing and everyone is acting more fiercely because now it's an individual match, so the mood for practicing is different. They will decide the parts. First it's La Vie en Rose team. This time, the producers are watching them live and getting to know their personalities. Jimin is lacking her confidence because her ranking is lower than the others and now she wants to try to be center because of how part 1 ended. Fuko got the main vocal part, Jimin center, Sarung main dancer and Juri part 4. For Lovesick Girls, they have some trouble deciding the rap parts. Coco and Yuji want it, and in the end Yuju got the main dancer part because it's the bigger rap part, and Coco got part 4. Sabi was center and Jong-un main vocal. They were also having trouble because Sabi was too shy to have a leader attitude and set things straight, so Jong-un was talking over her and acting like the leader when she was not, but she didn't realize that. Meanwhile, I Am the Best team had Jiun as a leader and she knew which part she wanted, while Mai was worried about her nasal sound. But then Jiun said she would sound like that no matter which part she got, so that convinced Mai to take the part Jiun offered and she got to stay with the part she wanted. She is smart. Mai got part 4, Jiun got center, Juwon main dancer and Sujung main vocal. They got the worst practice room. This time the teams will have a self-evaluation, that means they will evaluate the other teams before the interim check. They rank them as worst and best. For Lovesick Girls, Coco was the worst for not being noticeable. For La Vie en Rose it was Jimin for lack of confidence and not reaching the notes. And for I Am the Best it was Mai. Jiun and Jong-un are in the same bedroom, but they are still not talking to each other, and they show us a throwback of Jiun talking to Fuko. Fuko asks her if she wants to talk things through with Jong-un, but she says she doesn't care cause she thought she was an important person to Jong-un, and now she doesn't want to get close again cause she thinks she was delusional. Let's go to the performances. As always, we go team by team and we see their practice time before each performance. First team is La Vie en Rose. For their interim check, Jimin didn't get to do the high note and she seemed nervous. She keeps practicing the high note with Sarung cause they have similar parts. It was so relatable when Jimin was singing her part and then she stopped when it got to the high note. Now the performance starts. Jimin was stunning, all the girls and the stage itself were beautiful. I really enjoyed Fuko's first part together with Juri, their voices matched well. They recap Jimin's failures right before her high note, but she finally did it well. I don't think it's as high as the original, but she did it, everyone was nervous waiting for that. I just think her voice was a little weird because of wrong breathing, just like she was before. She corrected it in some past episode, but I think this time she was nervous about the high note and didn't focus that well on controlling that. Fuko's range is higher than hers. She really stood out to me in this performance. I think she was the best vocal here. It was a beautiful performance. Sarang did all the background vocals well. I don't know exactly the name for this. And she was doing the high note well during the rehearsals, but it seems she did a mistake when her part started and that affected her high note. She did a falsetto instead. Her expression also showed she was worried. It's sad cause she was doing fine in the rehearsals, but something happened during live performance. I love Fuko's ad-libs. She did all the high notes in the end of the song gracefully. She was a great main vocal. Jiri's part was very short. She didn't stand out and had less screen time than the others, but she sang well and stable. I think they all did well with the concept too. After the performance, the audience voted and then the girls proceeded to another room to discover the results. People could vote for how many members they wanted. I think there was 233 people. Jimin got 207, Fuko got 191, Sarang got 174 and Jiri got 173. For this one I think they are pretty right with what we saw. Of course Jimin gets the most votes because she has more fans. I think to be fair Fuko should be a little closer to her, but it wasn't a bad result for this team. Now we move to I Am the Best. Somehow, the producers don't want it to feel like 2NE1, but when you get a song like that, I think it's hard to not want to be like them. They are iconic. It's hard to disassociate from the original group, especially because the number of members is the same. For their practice time, Mai is having difficulties with her nasal tone and the song being very different from what she's used to singing. She talks to Taeyang and he gives her some advice, but she wasn't getting that better. Here comes some trouble I have to talk about. Mai is practicing one specific sentence where her tone needs to be stronger, but she can't get it right, so they show us some private conversation of some of the girls in a room, with Sujung talking about the tone of their group. Juwon is there too, together with the Lovesick Girls team, and Jiyeon arrives later. Sujung goes saying that in the past she would tell her it's too strong, but now that it's an individual match her team isn't talking much or helping each other. Juwon says she wanted the unit to do well so she thinks they should help each other, and then Sujung asks if they really need to do this other than with dancing. Jiyeon arrives and they continue the conversation. Sujung demonstrate what she's doing wrong and Yuju asks why she doesn't tell her if she knows the details, but she jokes around it. Jiyeon was just watching, and she realizes their unit is the most individualist now, so she says she thought they were competing as a team battle. Since she's not naive, she wants to be a good leader and decides to help Mai with the parts she's struggling. This situation made Sujung fall from a high chance of debuting to the last position on the voting. Their interim check comes and it's different from their self-evaluation because the producers don't want them to sound like 2NE1, but Sujung is sounding just like CL, which made her be voted as the best by the girls before. They want them to do it in their own style. The performance starts. Jiyeon fits really well with the voice tone and the concept. The whole team was good for the concept, the only one whose voice tone didn't fit was Mai, but for the concept they were iconic. Mai got better on the parts she was struggling, she did it well, just not the best of the best. Sujung did her parts very well, but I think she has the CL vibe and it's even hard to not see it as a cover. She did great, but the producers were expecting something different, I don't even know what, and we will never know. It's just sad that they treated Sujung differently in all her performances and now that they have a new test, she's failing again because they wanted something specific and the audience now hates her. She was so unlucky and indelicate, it's like she finally had an opportunity but let it slide. She wasn't smart like Jiyeon. But let's continue. Their outfits are also amazing, except for Sujung's pants. I think it made her look shorter. She and Juwon nailed the rap parts and for me Juwon was the best in the performance. She was so iconic, her expressions were great and her part was impactful. If we consider the dancing, her and Sujung are the best. Jiyeon has improved but it's still not as strong as them, and Mai was fine too. The one that stood out the less was Mai, but they all did well and I played attention to everyone, which is something not all performances can do. They were a very good unit, I love this performance. I'm divided between Jiyeon and Sujung for a second place, but considering they didn't want them to sound like 2NE1, I think Jiyeon comes in seventh place and Sujung should come with a closer number. That's how I would rank them. But that's not how the audience voted. Let's see the results. Jiyeon got 193, Juwon got 131, and they didn't reveal the other two scores right now, but they were Sujung with 153 and Mai with 158. Are people blind? I'm honestly curious on why they didn't like Juwon. Why is there such a big gap? They could vote for how many girls they wanted. I expected them to have close gaps. There's no way she's a 131 girl, she deserved more for this performance. Even Sujung and my scores were low compared to Jiun's. Now let's move to the last unit, Lovesick Girls. For their interim check I couldn't stop asking myself, why is Sabi with a rap part? Coco and Yuju are rappers, and although Sabi did well, when they were dividing the parts, I thought Coco would have the second rap, cause this song has 2 rap parts. They say Coco doesn't fit her vocal part, and that Yuju should dance better because it's a main dancer position. But Yuju is the best for that rap part and she doesn't want to give up on her parts anymore because she only got small parts during part 1. Meanwhile, Coco wants to have a rap part because of her vocals. I don't think Coco would do well with Yuju's part, she would do well on the dancing, but it's a long rap part, so I think it was better for their vocals if Yuju did it. Thankfully, Sabi decides to give her part to Coco because they are friends and she wants her to do well, so they switch. Now Coco has the second rap part. Okay, this is the time when I am honest about how I see the girls and the producer's intentions. From this episode on, it's obvious they want Coco to be a rapper. The problem is she isn't better than Yuju and she won't be better than her in like 3 weeks. They said Yuju and Coco should consider switching her parts and that Coco should be the rapper. They say Yuju rap looks old. That seemed like an excuse to me. It's okay to say Coco should be the main dancer, it makes total sense, but saying she should have the longer rap part doesn't make sense. We all saw the rehearsal, we all saw them both singing that part. They also saw it and said they knew Coco lost on the rap. Why are they saying the opposite now? Yuju's part has another short rap in the beginning of the song too. I think their division with Sabi switching with Coco was the best because Yuju keeps her rap part, Coco gets a rap part and important dance highlights is center, and Sabi gets a vocal part, which is her specialty instead of rapping. Yuju just needs to have more power on the dancing. After this, the producers are harsh on Yuju during practice because of her dancing, and Sabi helps Coco with the pronunciation for the rap part, cause the rap parts in this song are in English. Now their performance starts. They start with some privileges because Sabi come from the meatball and shoot in a heart target, that's new. Apparently Sabi and Coco only switched the rap for the vocals in one part, the rest of their parts remains the same. I think it was a good choice. Sabi starts really well, it was my favorite part of hers. Then Yuju comes and it seems there's something wrong with her mic, because the sound is weird. Producers say she slipped some words on the rap, but it seems like the sound of her mic is lower than the others and not very clear. But how could she skip only some sounds in the middle of the rap randomly? That sounds more like a technical failure. She sang that part during all the rehearsals, we heard it many times, why would she do it differently live? Looking at her lips, it seems she's singing normally, but the sound keeps changing volume or maybe it's not in sync with a playback, but I'm not sure. Apart from that, her dancing wasn't that impressive, it didn't feel like main dancer position. Jonghoon vocals were great, she also did great with her expressions and her voice was stable all the time. The remix they did to the song is a bit weird in the chorus. Yuji rap comes and she did well, but the mic is still changing the volume in one part, the end of the rap was normal again. Then comes Coco and this part of the song has more impact than the other, so they showed everyone being surprised, but in terms of rap, Yuji did better. She made mistakes on the pronunciation and her voice was very nasal sometimes. The thing is she is better when it comes to expressions, dance and impact, so everyone was cheering, but in terms of vocals, she needs to improve. The vocal parts with Jonghoon and Sabi in the end of the song were so good. They fit really well together and they were stable. Jonghoon was impressive and she got better at facial expressions. Her part had a lot of high notes, and it was better like this with Sabi and Jonghoon being only vocals. It's kind of hard to judge this team, I think Jonghoon was the best, Sabi comes in second place not that far, and although Coco is a better performer than Yuju, her vocals and rap weren't good, and Yuju had a problem with the mic and her dancing didn't stand out. I think I would place them really close, like 1 point of difference, since they lack opposite things. Now we'll see how crazy the results are again. Sabi got 197 votes, Jonghoon got 145, Yuju got 176, and Coco got 196. This is so wrong. Jonghoon with 145, are you kidding me? Sabi is the only one who makes sense here. Now the girls go back to Island to see their ranking. They reveal the unit scores by votes for everyone. They convert the voting numbers to points, with 100 being the maximum. This ranking will change after adding the producer's scores. By now, Juwon is at last place and Jonghyun comes right after her, but in my opinion, Juwon was the best in her unit and Jonghyun should be tied with Sabi. It's also nonsense Sujung being in 10th. Now they will reveal the producer's scores. They give their feedback to I am the best unit first. They like Jiun and say mine Sujung need to improve. They don't talk about Juwon, but they reveal their scores. Jiun got 90, Sujung 82, Juwon 79, and my 75. Later we will see that together with the audience scores and they will combine it to have an official ranking. For their feedback for La Vie en Rose, they compliment Jimin and say Sarung needs more confidence and to get rid of the anxiety because of high notes, which I agree with. Their score was Jimin with 95, Fuko with 85, Sarung with 81, and Jiri with 86. I just think Fuko should have been higher. Fuko did all the high notes and ad-libs in the song perfectly and had an important role. It was a great performance, and their average score is higher than I am the best. Now they give their feedback to the Lovesick Girls unit. They like Sabi. 24 says Coco is a strong performer and rapper, which I disagree. She's a good performer but not a strong rapper. Actually, the strongest rapper there got eliminated already, and this survival show had only 2 girls considered as rappers among 24 people, that's why it's come to this. Then they say Yujie needs to shine more because even with a big part this time, she didn't get to stand out much, which is true. They leave the results to the next episode, but since I won't be talking about it on the next episode, I'll tell you right away. They showed Jiun drops 2 positions, which means Sabi and Coco probably took 2nd and 3rd place. Now Jiun will be ranked 4th, but let me show you why. Their scores were Sabi with 90, Jonghyun with 85, Yujie with 73, and Coco with 93. They are now officially biased by Coco. She's a producer's favorite now. You can already wait for her in the debut lineup. There's no way she would rank higher than Sabi and Jonghyun, but at least they made justice to Jonghyun after her votes. It's still a wrong ranking though, when we combine with the votes. Juwon is at last place when I thought she was the best in her unit. Jonghyun deserved better than 8th place. If I made the ranking, it would be like this. And that's it for this episode. Did you agree with their ranking? Who would you change? Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Bye.